I've spent over $10,000 on fragrances, and a lot of these purchases were impulsive. I would watch a lot of fragrance content, and every time I came across a fragrance that was even slightly intriguing, I would start feeling this FOMO. Such intriguing notes, such a beautiful bottle, I just had to get my hands on it. Before I'd realized it, I'd spent money that I couldn't afford spending on a fragrance that I'd never smelt before. This cycle of impulsive blind buy, regret, and financial shame finally stopped when I started doing this one thing. At the end of the day, it's your hard-earned money, and I'll never tell you what to do with it. I'm sharing this because I know budgeting for a hobby we love as much as fragrance is something that's difficult for a lot of us, and I hope it can help at least one person out there. Budgeting is not easy or natural for everyone. It's hard to manually maintain a spreadsheet of all expenses and set values that you shouldn't cross each month. The method that I found really helpful is what I call reverse budgeting. As an example, let's say we set a budget of $400 per month for fragrances. In traditional budgeting, you would start at zero, and every time you made a purchase, you would add up all the way until you reach your budget. This means tracking each expense, making sure you don't cross your budget, and having to manually calculate how much you have left per month. Psychologically, this style of budgeting is not satisfying. Adding up to a random number is abstract. It doesn't feel like we're using up our money, and it doesn't give us the satisfaction of saving. In reverse budgeting, you start at that $400 mark and you subtract each expense until you hit zero. I didn't do this manually and instead opened a separate checking account just for my fragrance-related purchases. I set up an auto deposit every 2 weeks to pull out that $200 from my paycheck and put it into my fragrance account. So now whenever I want to buy a fragrance, I can just use this fragrance account to make that purchase. This means expenses are automatically subtracted and the leftovers are automatically carried to the next month. This works because now we intuitively see how much we have left. We feel the joy of the money coming in from our paychecks and building up, and the ability to spend that on something we love. Instead of feeling like worry, like, oh no, I'm gonna cross my budget for this month, you feel the joy of saving for something you're passionate about. For me, this method started a long journey of financial responsibility, and I hope it's helpful to some of you as well.